This course is a companion to the book, The Project Brain, Evolving Project Managers, available on Amazon. If you find today's session valuable, the book goes deeper on every framework you are about to learn, including the 3-tier document system, the janitor protocol, synthetic stakeholder simulations, and the full blueprint for an artificial intelligence-powered project management office you can run from your own desktop. You can find it by searching for The Project Brain by Self-Made PM on Amazon or by visiting selfmadepm.com. Now let us begin the course. 1. Welcome to Change Control and Saying No to Scope Creep. This is a 2-hour PDU eligible course worth 2 professional development units under the Ways of Working category of the PMI Talent Triangle. Whether you are a new project manager trying to hold a baseline or an experienced PM drowning in change requests, this session will give you a repeatable system for evaluating, deciding, and communicating changes without becoming the person everyone avoids in the hallway. 2. By the end of this course, you will walk away with 3 things. First, a repeatable 4-step change control process that you can drop into any project regardless of methodology. Second, a professional vocabulary for saying not right now without damaging stakeholder relationships. Third, a practical toolkit including templates and scripts that you can use starting tomorrow morning. Here is our agenda for the next 2 hours. We will start with Part 1, Understanding Change, where we look at what actually happens when change goes unmanaged. Part 2 covers the 4-step process of capturing, assessing, deciding, and communicating changes. Part 3 explores the impact of change and how to make costs visible. Part 4 tackles the hardest skill, the art of saying not right now with professional language. And Part 5 addresses executive level changes because, let us be honest, your biggest scope creep usually comes from the top. 4. Part 1. Understanding Change. Can we just add one small thing? If you have ever heard that sentence, you know exactly where this section is headed. 5. There are 2 worlds a project can live in. In a managed change environment, changes are logged, assessed against the baseline, and decided with data. The team knows what changed, why, and what was traded to accommodate it. In an unmanaged change environment, changes slip in through hallway conversations and reply all emails. The baseline erodes silently, deadlines drift, and the team burns out trying to hit a target that keeps moving. The goal of this course is to move you firmly into the left column. 6. This is the iceberg of unmanaged change. Above the waterline, you see the obvious cost, the extra hours of execution work. But below the surface, 4 hidden costs multiply the damage. Context switching pulls the team off their current concentration, destroying flow state. Rework happens because new code or new design touches existing work that now has to be redone. Re-estimation means the entire plan has to be rebuilt, every dependency rechecked. And team morale drops because people feel like their original work was not valued. A 2-day work item often eats a full calendar week once you account for these hidden costs. 7. Part 2. The 4-step process. Capture, assess, decide, communicate. This is the engine of your change control system. 8. Step 1 is capture. The moment someone says, "Can we just add one thing?" your response is, "Let me get that into our change log." You do not evaluate it on the spot. You do not say yes or no. You simply capture it. The changelog entry should record who made the request, what they asked for, and the date it came in. This single habit, writing it down before reacting, transforms you from a reactive firefighter into a process-driven professional. 9. Step 2 is assess. Once a change is captured, you evaluate it across 5 dimensions. Scope. What is the size and boundary of this change? Timeline. How does it affect the critical path? Risk. What new risks does it introduce, or what existing risks does it amplify? Dependencies. What other work streams does it touch? And budget. What is the cost in hours or dollars? You do not need a formal estimate for every change. A simple traffic light of high, medium, or low across these 5 dimensions gives decision makers what they need. 10. Step 3 is decide. Not every decision belongs to you. A healthy project has a clear decision hierarchy. The project manager handles small changes that fall within existing budget and timeline tolerance. The sponsor or change control board handles larger changes that exceed the PM's authority, and the steering committee handles strategic changes that alter the project's direction or business case. The key principle here is that defer is a legitimate outcome. Not every change needs a yes or no today. Some need more information, and that is perfectly acceptable. 11. Step 4 is communicate. Once a decision is made, 3 groups need to know about it. The original requester needs to understand the decision and the reasoning behind it. The delivery team needs to know what changed in their work, and affected stakeholders need to understand how it impacts their area. Always update the change log with the decision, the date, and the decision maker. Never give a bare yes or no. Always explain the rationale so people understand the logic, not just the answer. 12. Part 3. The impact of change. Making the invisible visible. This section is about building the muscle of showing what change actually costs. 13. Here's the before and after of good change impact communication. Before, the PM says the timeline moved to March. That is vague, unexplained, and breeds frustration. After, the PM says adding the payment gateway pushes the launch from February to March 15th. QA needs 3 extra weeks, and the compliance review must restart. That is specific, quantified, and traceable to a root cause. Your job is to move every change conversation from the left column to the right column. 14. Every change involves a trade-off. On one side, you have the new request, the thing someone wants added or changed. On the other side, you have the current commitments, the deliverables already in flight. The question to ask is not can we do this, because the answer is almost always yes, technically we can. The better question is, what will this cost us, and is that trade-off worth making? This reframes the project manager from a gatekeeper who blocks things into an advisor who makes trade-offs visible. 15. A visible roadmap is one of the most powerful tools against scope creep. When every sprint and release is visible on a timeline, people can see exactly where a new request would land and what it would push. Show the current sprint, the next sprint, the planned release, and the target date. Then, when someone asks for a change, you point to the roadmap and say, here is where we are, here is what would move. 3 key principles. Changes land in the next sprint or later, never the current one. The roadmap updates weekly, and every stakeholder can see it because transparency prevents politics. 16. Part 4. The art of saying, not right now. This is where most project managers struggle. Let us build your vocabulary. 17. You do not have to tackle everything at once. A phased approach is your most powerful tool for saying yes without saying yes to everything right now. Phase 1 covers what you will deliver now with your current resources and timeline. Phase 2 covers what you will deliver later once the current commitments are met. This simple division satisfies stakeholders because they hear yes to their request, while protecting the team because the current sprint stays intact. Phased approaches satisfies stakeholders while protecting current commitments. 18. The parking lot is your visual holding area for ideas that have value but do not belong in the current scope. When someone brings up a great idea that does not fit the current sprint, you say, "That is a great idea. Let me put it in the parking lot so we do not lose it." The key rules are: review the parking lot every sprint. Promote items when capacity allows. Never let it become a graveyard or people will stop contributing. The parking lot respects the idea while protecting the plan. 19. Build your vocabulary around 3 responses, and only 3. First, yes, when the change is small, funded, and does not disrupt the current work. Second, yes, with a trade-off, when the change is valuable, but something else must give. This is where you say, we can add the payment gateway, but the reporting module moves to phase 2. Third, not now, when the timing is wrong. This is not a rejection, it is a deferral. The change goes into the parking lot and gets reviewed at the next planning cycle. These 3 responses cover 95% of every change request you will ever receive. 20. Part 5. Handling executive level changes. When the scope creep comes from the top of the organization, the rules feel different. Let us talk about how to handle that. 21. When an executive drops a change request, follow 3 steps. Step 1. Acknowledge. Thank them and commit to a 24-hour turnaround. Never say no on the spot to an executive. Step 2. Analyze. Run the same 5-dimension assessment you would for any change: scope, timeline, risk, dependencies, budget. Step 3. Respond. Come back with data, options, and a recommendation. The 24-hour response commitment is non-negotiable. It shows respect for their position while giving you time to build a fact-based response instead of a reactive one. 22. When a change is too big for you to decide alone, escalate with data, not drama. Follow 4 steps. First, prepare by documenting the change, the impact, and at least 2 options with trade-offs. Second, present the options to your sponsor or steering committee clearly and concisely. Third, if the decision gets pushed back to you, bring data and options to the sponsor and ask for a decision. Fourth, communicate the decision back to all stakeholders with the rationale. The key message is escalation is not failure, it is process. Always escalate with options, never with just a problem. 23. The best defense against scope creep happens before the project starts. At initiation, explicitly define what is in scope and what is out of scope for this phase. In scope includes the features, deliverables, and outcomes you have committed to. Out of scope includes items that were discussed but intentionally excluded, deferred to a future phase, or assigned to another team. The power move here is the explicit out-of-scope list. It surfaces disagreements before the project starts, not 3 months in when someone says, "I thought we were building that too." 24. The ultimate goal is not a better changelog or a stronger process. It is a change-aware culture where every team member instinctively asks 3 questions when a new request appears. Is this logged? What is the impact? And who decides? When your team asks these questions without being prompted, you have won. You have moved from a culture of reactive firefighting to one of proactive change management. That is the real deliverable of this course. 25. A living change log is the heartbeat of your change control system. Track 3 key metrics: total changes received, so you can see volume trends; average decision time, so you can spot bottlenecks in your process; and approval rate, so you can calibrate whether you are saying yes too often or not enough. Review these metrics every sprint. Share them with your sponsor. They tell the story of your project's health better than any status report. A well-maintained changelog is your single best defense against he said, she said scope disputes. 26. Let us recap the 3 big takeaways. First, every change gets captured before it gets evaluated. No exceptions. The changelog is your first line of defense. Second, never give a bare yes or no. Always respond with one of the 3 vocabulary responses: yes, yes with a trade-off, or not now, and always explain the rationale. Third, make impact visible using data, roadmaps, and the 5-dimension assessment. When people can see the cost of change, they make better requests. 27. You have earned 2 professional development units for completing this course. Here is how to claim them. Step 1. Log in to the PMI Continuing Certification Requirements System at ccrs.pmi.org. Step 2. Select Report PDUs. Step 3. Enter the course title, change control, and saying no to scope creep, category, online or digital media, and 2 PDUs under Ways of Working. Step 4. Submit. PDUs are self-reported and it takes just a few minutes. Please note that Self-Made PM is not a PMI authorized training partner, but PDUs earned through self-directed learning are fully valid. Thank you for spending these 2 hours with me. If you found this course valuable, check out the Project Brain on Amazon for deeper dives into every framework we covered today. You can also visit selfmadepm.com for more courses, templates, and resources. Now go protect your baselines. 29.